That'd bring Eric over.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of History in a Drink. It's season 2 and episode 2.
That's right.
Excellent.
So today we're going to look at Henry Flagler, and he is one of the developers of the east coast of Florida, all the way from St. Augustine all the way down to the Keys. So today's drink, it came from one of the menus from the bar car in his the overseas railroad.
And when you say he built, though, that side tape, I mean, basically it was built by transportation, by the railroad.
Correct. And he built the railroad that went all the way from St. Augustine down to the Keys, all the way to Key West. So today's drink is going to be the Tom Collins. That was the only named drink that I could find that they served there. Everything else was just they named the liquor, and then you told them how you wanted it mixed. So today's Tom Collins is very simple. It uses gin. So we're going to use, I need a shot glass.
Okay. Getting prepared here?
Yep. 2 parts gin. Then it uses lemon juice.
Freshly squeezed.
It's the only way. And then simple syrup. 1 part of each of those. And then you just fill the glass up with club soda the rest of the way. And you have yourself a Tom Collins. Now, you can make it with any liquor you want. And if you look online, you can see that the recipes would be like if you made it with tequila, it'd be a Juan Collins. Or you made it with cognac, it'd be a Pierre Collins. So you can find all of those. And then for our garnish, we have brandied cherries and grilled lemons.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Excellent.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's a nice, refreshing Southern Florida drink as you were traveling down there. Now, Henry Flagler, when I was doing my research on him, guess where he's from?
Where's he from?
Where do you think?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Exactly.
Oh, Cleveland, Ohio.
Another one of them. So, but he started Standard Oil. And Standard Oil, most people know that name through John D. Rockefeller.
Right.
He's going to be one of John D. Rockefeller's partners, as John D. Rockefeller is consolidating all of these oil companies under his big umbrella, the Standard Oil Trust. And so eventually Flagler is going to sell out to John D. And he made lots of trips down here just to winter, and he had a big yacht, a steam yacht.
And the time frame, this is the 20s and 30s, correct?
No, this is the late 1800s.
Late 1800s, so even before then.
1880s
Yeah.
and 1890s.
Okay.
So he's going to travel down here, and he's going to see a huge opportunity because of Cuba. There was no real easy way for goods from Cuba to get overland anywhere. And he saw that Key West was all of 90 miles.
That was it.
From Havana. So if he could use ships to bring stuff to Key West, put it on train there, he could control so much of the goods coming in and out of Cuba. And so he took that opportunity. Now, he started building his railroad up in St. Augustine. And he saw that to get people to come down here on it, what do you need them to come and visit?
I would think the beaches and stuff. So I think that you make it a resort, which is one Florida's basis.
Exactly. And so he built a ton of hotels all along the East Coast. His first one was called the Ponce de Leon, and it still exists. It's in St. Augustine, and it's part of Flagler University today.
Oh, okay.
And there's also the Alcaraz, and that one is a museum now. It's not a hotel anymore. But you can travel down and stay at different hotels that he built all along the way. And
which would be the same thing that those people coming from up north, let's say the Cleveland and the Chicagos in the wintertime, escaping those cold weather, they'd come down to Florida and winter down here, and those would be the hotels that they hit on their way to Key West.
Exactly, and they had a deal with his railroad, and they would get you to go and stay in his hotels and the whole package. The all-inclusive thing before the all-inclusive thing was there. So ultimately, though, it's going to be building the railroad out to Key West. And this is going to be kind of an engineering marvel of the time period, because it's as much bridges as it is on land. And he had to get access on all of these little keys to be able to
run the railroad across,
so it took them about 15 years to build it.
Wow.
And in that time, there was 3 hurricanes that stopped production. And ultimately, it's going to be a hurricane as well that is going to end the overseas railroad.
Right.
And that is the hurricane of, I think it's 1936 or 35, and it was called the Storm of the Century, and it wiped out a tremendous part of the Keys. Over 400 people died, and just tremendous amount of damage down there. And they just never rebuilt the railroad from there. Instead, what we see built is the modern day highway that you can take down there, US 1.
Yeah.
And so it parallels the railroad route, and you can see some of the bridges.
Yeah,
and
if
stuff
there's portions of it that are still there on that, the right hand side as you're driving down south, that would be there.
Yeah, like by 7 Mile Bridge.
Yep, 7 Mile Bridge all the way through.
And you can still walk on part of the old train bridge to get out to, I think it's called Bird Key.
Yep.
And they have like a little station there that I think you can go and visit, and it's a museum there. And I think they used to do overnights and stuff, but I don't know anymore. But so when we look at him building this, he built this out of his own pocket, based on the proceeds that he made from selling Standard Oil. And he saw this opportunity to do that. And he's one of what we would call the robber barons or the titans of industry of that time. But he is what really made that the Miami area grow. And sometimes he's called the father of Miami, the father of Palm Beach, because of that. And when you think about it today, how many huge hotels there are and what the resorts are, places like the Breakers and stuff like that over on the East Coast to go to. So Flagler is a huge part of Florida history. Now, it would have been awesome to be able to go back then and ride on the train. Yeah. He had his own private car, so whenever he wanted to go, they would just attach it to the train that was going down, and he had his own steward.
His own motorhome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And stay at whatever hotels he wanted along the way. But that opened up so much of South Florida for construction and development, and turned Miami into the huge trading port and entryway from the Caribbean and South America and Central America into the United States. Because before that, there wasn't really a lot of people living down along the coast of Florida.
Not at all. It was completely undeveloped because it was so difficult to get down there.
Right. And so his main railroad was the Florida East Coast Railroad, but he's most known for the Florida Overseas Highway or Overseas Railroad that he built.
Which is like the Keys section of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, what was also interesting about it is, guess what he used as the laborers?
I don't know. I would think maybe Cubans or maybe the people who were living or close by there, but who was it?
It was convicts.
Ah!
So he
privatized the prison system.
Well, in the South during that period of time, they used a lot of convicts for labor, building roads and all that kind of stuff. So he just leased them out from the Florida prison system and used them to build the railroad all the way from St. Augustine, but especially in the Keys.
Yeah.
Now, because think about it, how could they escape? Where are they going to go?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right?
Yeah. The chain gang was a lot easier. They didn't need to chain them up. So.
Right. So I thought that was fascinating to think about. It was built on the backs of people who were incarcerated, because we don't see that to the same extent that we do now. Because you think about like movies like Shawshank Redemption and stuff like that, where they're working.
Or Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah, exactly. So that's our little bit today on Henry Flagler and the Tom Collins. So next week we're going to continue with our theme of Florida. I think we're going to look kind of something more on the East Coast and continuing over there.
Excellent.
There's a ton of awesome writers that come out of Florida. And I think that's what we're going to talk about next week, and look at people like Carl Hyacin and John D. McDonald and one of our favorites, Tim Dorsey. So Tim Dorsey, if you're watching, you're invited to come down and hang out with us and be part of the whole crew down here. So until next week, I hope you have a great week.
And a big shout out to our studio audience tonight.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Where's that come from?
So the Tom Collins, the Collins is a type of drink that uses the club soda, it uses lemon juice, and it uses the simple syrup. And they just, gin is the average that you put in there, but that's one of the oldest cocktails that we have, and it's just a very simple one, and it's kind of the base for a lot of the other ones.
My question is, who is?
Oh, it's not actually a who. So what actually it is so the gentleman of the day would be known as a Tom, a gentleman. And so actually when they would have the fancy things that go around, the collars, they call it a Collins. So that's became named the fancy gentleman's collar, the Tom Collins.
There you go.
There you go. And that was Bob with that question. Thank you very much, Bob. Good job.
All right.
Excellent.
All right, so we'll see you next week.
And by the way, folks, I totally just made that up. I have no idea what the Tom Collins is. That was totally made up. I think I played it off well and did well. So we'll say goodnight to you guys.
All right.
Say goodnight.
Enjoy.